Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the second episode of the Sporting Updates podcast. I'm your host, as always, Sam Fonseca at Sam Fonseca on Twitter, and I am joined today by my good friend Steph. How are you doing today, Steph?
I'm doing pretty good. I almost died of a heart attack with today's game, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah, it was a very, very nervous game, but we'll get into that. There goes Steph. I'll just wait for Steph to get back in. Before we start the podcast, don't forget to follow the account on Twitter, which is at SCP Updates EN on Twitter. So, yep. And then also make sure you turn the notifications on so you can see when we go live and stuff. And also, if you go to the pinned tweet on the Twitter page, it is the links of the Soundcloud and the iTunes. So, if you do go to the Twitter page, make sure you retweet that or like it so you'll never miss anything from us. You back, Steph? You all right?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, cool. Before we get into today's game against Feirense, I want to talk about the Williams situation and the comments made by Bruno de Carvalho and Nuno, and then the Sullivan brothers and David Gold, and etc. So, Steph, can you give us some more information on these rumors and allegations?
Yes, of course. I actually saw the whole interview, and our president, Bruno Carvalho, was on Sporting TV, and he explained everything real well. But when it comes out on newspapers, somewhat somehow, it's never the way. In this case, Bruno Carvalho said it. They they totally change it. It doesn't sound the same. On Record and Ebola, they quoted our president, what he said on Sporting TV, and I saw the whole interview, and I was reading another interview. It was nothing uh, like he said it. But about the comments, basically, West Ham is not doing that great, and then the chairman Sullivan is getting the pressure from the West Ham fans. They know him quite well. The fans themselves, they know he's full of shit, and he felt he didn't get the William Carvalho like the coach wanted, Billick. Uh, it's their loss. We not Sporting is different negotiating. We don't give players away anymore for 5 millions or 10 or 15 millions like we used to. This is not the era of Godin Lopes or Bintacourt. This is Bruno Carvalho. He knows how to negotiate, and he looks for the best interest of Sporting. Uh, they just released the finances of Sporting for the fiscal year, and again we positive by 30 millions. So he's doing a great job. Um, so West Ham, they accusing the pressure of the fans because they failed to get William Carvalho, and they the ones that are full of shit. We're doing what we're supposed to do. We want to make money. We're not just going to give players away like we used to before in the past.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I think since Bruno de Carvalho has come in, I think we've seen a lot more stability in terms of transfer sales as well. Just thinking the recent one, we've got Islam Slimani, and now we've got Adrian, which we'll get into a bit later. But the thing is, the thing was about the emails that Bruno Carvalho said they never offered anything for William, and West Ham have come out with these supposedly real emails about saying that they did William Carvalho. What do you think about the emails that were released?
Well, the emails, that's not an official proposal. I could send you an email today. I could send an email to Sporting today and say, hey, I want to buy William Carvalho. That's not an official proposal. Apparently, I believe that West Ham, they sent certain people to Lisbon to negotiate with Sporting. If a proposal was made, it would be in person, not via email. So even if they did send the email, still bullshit. When you want to make a proposal and you're serious about it, you send someone to negotiate face to face. You don't do it via the internet. That's that's not a proposal. So even if the email existed, which I don't think he did, because it's full of misspells. I mean, whoever wrote the email, if it was Sullivan, the chairman, he should go back to school because I mean, it's full of misspells. I mean, English is not even my first language. It's my second language. I was born and raised in France and then raised in Portugal. But I'm telling you, that's not a proposal. When you're serious about getting a player, you make the deal face to face, and then that's when it's a serious proposal. So there it is.
For me as well, the thing that made me laugh in that email, I'm not sure if you saw this bit, it was like, if you don't accept this offer for William Carvalho, we'll be going for that PSG player, not even naming, I think they were trying to go with Krychowiak by his, didn't even, weren't professional enough to name the actual player, just we're going to borrow a player from PSG, which also was sort of phony. And when you think about that anyway, just the way the email was written, it's just, you think, I know David Gold has got dyslexia, but I don't think it was David Gold, right? And that was Sullivan. So I think the email is 100% fake, and I'm pretty sure a lot of Sporting fans do. West Ham fans seem to not believe that either. Just the way of the email was written, like Steph said, all the misspells and the way that how professional the email was. Also, Steph, comments made by Bruno de Carvalho about the Sullivan brothers, called them the Dildo brothers. Was that unprofessional by Bruno? Should he have said it? Steph, your mic's muted. Okay, all right, we'll wait for Steph to get back. But just for my opinion on the Bruno de Carvalho situation, Bruno de Carvalho is known for having a big mouth. Sometimes he gets him into trouble, and maybe he shouldn't have said this Dildo Brothers thing, but he said that the West Ham fans know the Sullivan brothers as the Dildo Brothers, not that he calls them that, which even still is funny in its own way. And there was this whole back and forth with West Ham and Sporting. So Sporting said there was no approach. West Ham said there was an approach with the emails, and then Sporting have come back and said that Sporting have said that West Ham illegally approached the player. So I think West Ham are suing Sporting for libel, which is like defamation in America, I believe. And then Sporting are also suing West Ham for the illegal approaches to William. If any of you are familiar with English football, you would know that Virgil van Dijk from Southampton was just with the same way for Liverpool, and they got a hefty fine, but a fine I don't think would be just. I think they should be suspended, West Ham, if they are found guilty of doing the illegal approaches.
I'm back.
Okay, I was just saying the whole thing about the. So I literally just gave a backstory saying that West Ham are suing Sporting for libel, which is like defamation, and Sporting are counter-suing for illegal approaches to William Carvalho. What did you think of that? I just said that I think it's all a bit messy, but if West Ham are found that they did approach William illegally, I think they should be suspended for the transfer market, like we've seen with like Atletico Madrid, and I think we saw with Barcelona a few years ago. What do you think?
Well, I think the same way as you do. The suing each other and going back and forth with that, we know that's baloney. Nothing's going to happen. I mean, a couple of days later, West Ham said they will attack again to get the William Carvalho in January. So if you're so mad at us, why are you still interested in William Carvalho in January? And when the market opens up again. So all that, I mean, we see it a lot in Portugal between Sporting, Benfica, Porto, Benfica, So nothing is going to happen with that. But, you know, it's a lack of class from the people in power to get to that point. But nothing is going to come out of those suing each other. And I think that in January, if West Ham is really serious about getting William Carvalho, hey, show me the money then. If you want him, you guys show us the money. Don't play games. And William Carvalho is not going to play games. You pay up what you're supposed to, you'll get him. If you don't pay up, you're not going to get him. Bottom line, that's it.
I also said, do you think Bruno Carvalho shouldn't have said the remarks about the Sullivan brothers, calling them Dildo brothers? Because I think we both know that Bruno Carvalho, sometimes his mouth gets him into trouble. Do you think he should have just like said something different or not say anything about the Sullivan brothers?
I agree. He shouldn't have said anything. He should have left that alone. I mean, I don't like when people insult me. I didn't like that. You know, I mean, he said it joking around. I saw the interview, and when he said, I was like, oh gosh. Why don't you contain yourself, buddy? But, you know, that was the only thing I didn't like. I mean, I'll be honest. I like Bruno Carvalho, but certain things sometimes, come on, just don't say, contain yourself, you know? So, yeah, I'm totally against that.
I think that's all for the William controversy thing. I think we've gone over it all. But now on to another player who is no longer a Sporting player. Now is a Leicester player officially. Sporting have released the details of the transfer. Steph, can you share us the details of the transfer?
Yeah, so the deal was made for 29.5. So we're
That's
getting
euros, right?
yeah, euros. 29.5 euros, millions, of course, not
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
So the deal was 20 millions, and then they broke it down. I saw it on the record: $4,000 to pay expense, 4 million to pay expenses, and then 5 million in objectives, achievements. That was the deal. The only thing that really sucks is FIFA. They're very retarded because Leicester, they were late with one piece of paper, one document by 14 seconds. They downloaded all the documents, around 50 or more, and just because of one piece of paper being late 14 seconds, they didn't recognize the certificate for him to play in the Premier League, and that's really shameful. It should be when they started downloading the documents to FIFA. That's when it should count, not the last piece of paper they receive.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think 14 seconds as well. I think they should maybe give a bit of leeway because obviously it's not like they it was an hour or two. It was literally 14 seconds. And if they did like let it through, if they gave Leicester a fine as well, I can see where they'd go with that as well. But still letting the player move, but just saying giving a fine. So next time, if this happens again, you'll know to get it on time and even a few days before the deadline. Okay, so again, Adrian, I do feel sorry for just because he's not going to play till January, especially this being the World Cup year, World Cup 2018. I feel like he needs to play to get into that midfield because obviously we do have a pretty decent midfield in the Portugal national team. You've got upcomers like Bruno Fernandes. You've even got people like, as much as I don't like the guy, João Moutinho did play well in the last Portugal game. And, you've got the regulars like William Carvalho, Danilo, and you can even say like Andre Gomez as well. So I do feel a bit sorry for Adrian because I really want him to play in the World Cup. I think he was a very important member of the Euros. Would you agree with that statement, Steph?
Oh yeah, but he'll make the national team for sure because let's say I believe Leicester they appealing it, so he might still have a shot to play now. So, but we still have two games the national team, which is Andorra, and then a very tough game at home in Stade de Luz against Switzerland. So he still has two games before January. Then if he starts, let's say, if he only plays in January, we're talking about January, February, March, April, May, June. The World Cup is in June, so he'll still be fine. He'll still play 4 months before the World Cup, so that's not a question. He will make the national team. In a way, it's good that if he won't be able to play, I think he had a fractured rib, so he'll be able to come back from that injury nice and slow and nice and steady. And then he's going to practice with his teammates on a daily basis. So he's going to play scrimmage games. So he's still going to play. I mean, it's not the same, I understand, but he's not. It ain't like he's just going to sit down and not do anything. So he'll still be fine, and he will make the national team. It's not a problem at all. Fernando Sanchez is going to call him for the two games that we have left for sure, and knowing Adrian Silva, he's going to practice hard every day, so like he's playing a game, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that, especially just because now you say like there's still January, February, March, April, May football time. That's still a lot of time, even though he's played, let's say, would you say the whole month of August or maybe missed like one game? I think he didn't start the first game, but he still has played a good amount, so it should be fine for him to play in the World Cup. And hopefully, Fernando Santos does see that he is a good member to the national team. Moving on now to the questions we received from Twitter. If you want to be featured in this podcast, just tweet us when we say ask for questions, and you could be featured on the episode and we'll answer your questions. So the first question comes from a good friend of yours, I know, and a friend of mine, Mr. Rich Texada, and he says, who is the next Adrian Silva on the roster? And I'll give that to you, Steph.
Yeah, so I like what I saw today. We had Battaglia. He was playing against his position, and they gave the natural position to William Carvalho. He's usually the number 6, and they gave it back to him. So Battaglia was doing great until Piccini got hurt, and then they switched him to the right wing, right fullback. And then we saw that the team lost the connection between the midfield and the attack. So I like Battaglia. For sure, Bruno Fernandes can also do the same job. But now more and more we see that Bruno Fernandes playing with Bas Dost is actually a very good thing. So it's those two, between those two players, Battaglia or Bruno Fernandes playing Andy Silva's position.
I know I'm going to say something that is he doesn't play in Adrian's position, but I feel like if this player would play, I think he'd have the same impact in games and even in the dressing room as Adrian. I would go with João Palhinha. I'm a big fan of his. I feel like he should get more game time than he does. I'm surprised he actually didn't get loaned out to like a mid-table or even like a Sporting Braga or a Rio Ave, because I feel like he does deserve game time and he is a good player. So hopefully in this coming season, especially, we've got 7 games in this month. So hopefully we'll see a lot of rotated sides in some games. Hopefully we'll see players like João Palhinha, even maybe like Petrovic, get their chance to impress George Jesus and the fans. So I'm going to go with João Palhinha. Next question comes from Anthony Wanez at Anthony M_SCP. And he asks, Yuri got 15 minutes in this game. Do you think we'll see this more often? And how do you rate Yuri's performance?
Well, I was actually I posted my my team on Twitter, and I did include Yuri's Medeiros, and I thought he was going to start today. I really thought that because of all the traveling and Acuna played 2 tough games for his national team, I really thought that today was the game he was going to start and play the full 90 minutes, and I was very excited about it. And many Portuguese on Twitter as well. So when I saw the starting lineup, I was kind of disappointed. But at the same time, I like Acuna too. And he was cleared by the medical staff. They spoke to him. He said he was fit to go. He was good to go. And Jorge Jesus didn't want to lose the consistency because he's been played quite well on the left wing. So, but, it didn't happen. So he's going to have to wait. And most likely we'll see him play on a more consistent basis in a Taça da Liga, the League Cup, and a Taça de Portugal, the Portuguese Cup. That's when I foresee seeing Yuri playing a full game. But yes, I think to answer the question a little more in depth, I foresee him playing a little bit more each game. But I just Acuna is doing great, so I don't know, But I could see him playing 20 more minutes the next game or 25 more minutes. It all depends on the game. If we're doing well, he's not going to take off Acuna. The only time he will take him off, it's if we're losing, and like today against Feirense towards the end, and we're looking for the victory, and now he wants a more attacking mode player, and that's why I took him off. But that's it.
For me, I think it's like I said, with the 7 games in this month, that I assume that maybe he'll start in one of the Liga NOS matches, like you said, even the Taça de Portugal and the League Cup. I don't see him playing in the Champions League that often, just because of Gelson Martins and Acuna. I feel like they're guaranteed to start in the Champions League. But that being said, I do hope Yuri gets more starts and more plays, just because I think we all saw him with Vista last year when he was fantastic. And I believe it was at Modenense the year before that, and he was still a quality player. So hopefully Yuri does get his fair share of games. Then we should just maybe either I don't want to see him loaned out again. I'd rather just sell him instead of just keeping him on the bench just to not play any games. Okay. So now moving on to the of today's game versus Feirense, in which a 3-2 victory of Test Sporting, in which Bruno Fernandes, Sebastian Coates, and Bas Dost scored. Onto the lineup as followed: Rui Patricio in goal, who's the captain. Since Adrian left, Rui Patricio has become the new captain. Cristiano Piccini, El Patron, Sebastian Coates, Jerry Mateu, Jonathan Silva, Rodrigo Battaglia, William Carvalho, Bruno Fernandes, Marcos Acuna, Gelson Martins, and Bas Dost. Also, Ana Ruiz came in for Cristiano Piccini earlier in the game because Piccini came off with injury. And then with 50 minutes to go, Yuri and Dumbia came on for Acuna and Alan Ruiz respectively. So, Steph, what did you think of the game?
Oh my God! I was watching the game, and the first half was very tough. Feirense with fresh legs. They had the whole week to prepare their one game. Most of the players were not called for the national team. I call it the way it is, you know. So you could see that they were, motivated to play against one of the big threes. In this case, our Sporting. And from the get go, they came blazing. They were on fire, you know. And Feirense gave us a really tough time in the first half. It was very divided. I didn't see any chances of goals. They defended quite well. They have a really good team. I foresee a lot of teams, Benfica and Porto, struggling there too. They hadn't lost any game yet. This was the first defeat for Feirense. So very consistent. The first half, the second half, we finally scored. The first goal was Coates, and then short after Coates, it was Bruno Fernandes. He scored another goal.
Another
So far,
fantastic goal as
another
well.
yeah, another beautiful goal. So it was minute 62 Coates, and then 64 Bruno Fernandes. And I thought the game was over. Seriously, I thought now we're going to play a little bit of a low block, winning 2-0. We only have 25 minutes left, and let's use the counterattack mode. And then Feirense scored their first goal on the corner, and then they tied the game. And I was like, holy crap! Again, here we go again. And you could see our defense was exhausted. Coates with the jet lag and playing for his national team. This is not excuses. It's I'm talking the truth, because when you play in the national team, it's usually tough games in South America, and then the jet lag from South America to Portugal, it's quite a difference, the time zones and everything. And Matthew actually was also sick. Jorge Jesus said at the flash interview, almost didn't call him for the game. And you could see that both of them, they were not playing the same as we've seen in the past. They were not anticipating as well as they've done in the past. And on our right fullback, he never played right fullback, Battaglia. Never. That was his first time. So he did quite well, but you could see that defending, he was not as good as Piccini. And on the left side, Jonathan Silva, he did fairly well. And then that was a penalty. We got the Bas Dost on scoring the penalty. I saw the replays, different angles, and yep, that was a penalty. And he scored. I crossed my fingers. I was down on my knees praying so he would miss the penalty. And the second half we did better, but again, we have to stop giving the game back to the opponents. But it was a good win, a hard-fought win, and we deserved to win regardless. But if we tied, it wouldn't be the end of the world, because Feirense did play quite well too.
Yeah, the thing is with Feirense as well. Last year when we played them away, I believe we were 1-0 up and we lost 2-1. So a win is a fantastic result to get, just because everyone knows about Feirense away that it's when any team in the big three goes there, they struggle. And I think that's just down to Feirense's defence, and I think they've always had such good defence. So, and also, I'm not sure if you heard the flash interview at the end as well. There was George Jesus said that Bastos, he didn't want him to take the penalty because Bastos took, I think, 4 in training and missed them all. So when Bastos stepped up to take it, George Jesus was shouting at him to tell him not to take it. And then in the end, Bastos said he's got it and he'll take it. So Bastos ended up taking the penalty and obviously converting. And and also Coates was a fantastic poacher's goal. Just the rebound, just good awareness to finish it. Bruno Fernandes as well. What can you say about him? What a fantastic player he's been for us. I don't think he scored a normal goal for us yet. Every goal he scored has been an absolute fantastic. That chip, it even sent the defender for Feirense just in the air, try to get it, but it was just too high off the bar and in. A great dummy by Bastos as well, I will say as well, just because Bastos, he did score as well, but that dummy, which led to the Bruno Fernandes goal, was just fantastic. And also, like I said, Bastos penalty. My dad and I were watching the game. He left the room. He never watches penalties in the last minute. He always leaves the room. And as a joke, when Bastos scored, I was like, "Oh, come on!" And he thought we missed, but obviously we scored. So just a little bit of banter there. I'm glad we did win. Obviously, we're still undefeated. It was a bit shambolic to concede 2 goals, but that finish by Tebo for Feirense was fantastic. I think he's a very good player as well. Very underrated player outside the big 3. And now we go on to the player rating, Steph. So if anyone's not familiar with this, last week we did it. I go through the lineup and ask Steph, and I will also give my opinion on the player's performance out of 10. So starting with Rui Patricio, the captain.
Okay, go ahead.
So for me, for Rui Patricio, I would give a 7 out of 10, just on the fact that he did concede 2 goals, but I don't think any of them were his fault. But I don't think you can give a 10 out of 10 to a goalkeeper that's conceded 2 goals. I feel like he did make some very crucial saves in the first half. And he always, just for me, I'm always used to seeing Rui Patricio as the captain. So when he got that armband, it just felt like that was where it's supposed to be. I know Adrian Silva was our captain for many years, but I believe Rui Patricio has always, in spirit, been the captain. So what would you give Patricio rating out of 10, Steph?
I would give him an 8. Just like you said, he's not at fault with the 2 goals. One was off the corner, and I believe that Bruno Fernandes did his best to stop him. But the other guy, he came with a lot of power, and his mind was set to strike the ball with his head at full power. Nothing he could have done. He's not a defender. So, and then the second goal, it was just an amazing play. And again, Rui Patricio was not at fault. So besides that, he was very consistent. He came out when he had to come out. He held to the ball, and it was a very consistent game by him. But I agree with you. If you suffer 2 goals, you're not going to get a 10. So an 8 for him.
Okay, I'm going to miss out on Piccini just because I don't think he got enough game time to give a rating. So I'm just going to skip that one. I'm going to go on to El Patron Sebastian Coates. Rating out of 10, Steph.
So today I'll give him a 7. He did fairly well, but you could see he was tired from all the traveling and playing for his national team, which concerns me a little bit because we have 2 center backs on the bench, which is André Pinto and Tobias. And I know it's not the same. I know they're not the same as Coates and Mathieu, but either you trust them or you don't. So when you have a player like Coates that was exhausted, like we saw today, you have to trust your backup center backs, and that concerns me a little bit. But that's it.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 as well. I do think if he was fully recovered from the game that he's played for Uruguay, I think maybe he would have stopped that goal from Etebo. But again, like you said, it's not his fault he had to travel. He always has to go to his national team, and fair play to him for going. But I just think if when fully fit, Sebastian Coates in this game probably wouldn't have uh, been so, I would say, beaten on defense. But also, he did score a very crucial goal, which the first goal of the game for Sporting and just in general. So I'll say I'll give that a 7. Now on to Jeremy Mateu. I will give Jeremy Mateu a rating out of. I'm going to give Jeremy Mateu a 6. I feel like he wasn't at his best today. I feel like he gave the ball away, a bit of sloppy possession. They nearly scored off a ridiculous. I don't know. We're trying to take the defender on from his own half, and I don't think he was even outside the box. And Mateu tried to take him on and lost the ball. So maybe it's just that the international break caused him some what's the word, that he just wasn't match fit because he hadn't played in such a long time. So I'm going to give Mateu a 6 out of 10. Steph, Jeremy Mateu out of 10.
Well, well, yeah, that was. I'm thinking about the. Okay, so Jeremy Mathieu, I'm gonna give him a 6 because he lost a crucial ball, and Feirense could have scored a 1-0. He left the Rui Patricio basically at mercy, and you can be, as a top center back, you can make those mistakes. You know which play I'm talking about?
Yeah, the one I mentioned it as well. The one where he tried to take the defender on from his own half and he just
Exactly.
lost the ball.
Yeah, when he tried to
Yeah,
dribble him. So you because we playing Tuesday against Olympiacos. If you make those mistakes, we lose the game. We will lose the game. But coming back to Feirense, he was consistent, but not the same players I've seen the last 4 games. And Jorge Jesus confirmed it on the flash interview that he's been sick and he almost didn't call him for the game. But again, you have to back up center backs. Why didn't you use Adrian Pinto? I mean, you're gonna have to use him, one of these days. So he doesn't trust them. It's obvious. But if Mathieu was sick, then he should have used Adrian Pinto or Tobias, whatever. But yeah, today it's a 6 because he made mistakes I haven't seen make in the past.
even with your thing about there, you could about Andrea Pinto or Tobias playing centre back. You could even move William to centre back and even play. I think Petrovic was on the bench. You could have played Petrovic instead. So there was just a lot of options that if he didn't feel Mateu was ready, that he really shouldn't have played.
Agreed.
And
Agreed. Yeah.
now on to Jonathan Silva. Go on, Steph. What are you going to give Jonathan Silva 8 out of 10?
I'm going to give him an 8. Very consistent. The left wing with him was very consistent with the Acuna. Both of them, they clicked. Good chemistry. So an 8, and I like what I saw. He has developed because in the past, the reason why Jorge Jesus didn't play much is because he fouled a lot. He got yellow cards quite fast, and then the second card on the second half. So I like what I see. You could see that Jorge Jesus is working with him. He's a much more careful player when he fouls. So he's not getting those yellow cards, those bullshit yellow cards anymore. So that's good. So a solid 8.
I'm going to have to disagree with you, and that's a big disagreement. I think he was not very good today. I feel like he was good offensively, but defensively, I feel like he just lacked something. And you could see what the Feirense goal. He was the reason they scored. He gave the ball away, and that they scored. So for me, Jonathan Silva, I'm going to say a 5, or maybe a 5 or a 6. I'm going to say 6, just because I'm kind. Rodrigo Battaglia, I'll start off with this one. He was moved as a makeshift right back. So for me, I wouldn't really judge this performance as Battaglia's best game. But obviously, you can't, as he was playing in a position that he's never played before. But for me, I'm going to give Battaglia a 7 out of 10 just because Like I said, first time playing at right back, and you couldn't really expect him to do more. And for me as well, I would want to give him higher, but just I feel like he was out of his element a bit. He isn't the paciest of players. So for me, it's an 7 out of 10 for Battaglia. What about you, Steph?
I'm going to give him an 8. It's not easy to transition from the midfield to right fullback, especially if you never played right fullback, and he never did. So he did quite well as a right fullback. So and solid 8 for him. He was doing quite well at position number 8 as a midfielder. So I was um, kind of disappointed when Jorge Jesus made the move, but he did explain on the flash interview. He said he didn't have too many options. It was either switching Jonathan Silva to the right side, and then on the left side he would put Bruno Cesar, and then, like he said, then I would have two problems on both of my wings. So he didn't want to affect the left wing, so he left it alone, and that's why he made that move. Because Vychovsky wasn't called, he was not even on the squad list, so he was not an option. So, but I'll give him an 8 because he was consistent, and that's it.
William Carvalho, Steph. What would you give William Carvalho out of 10?
Willem Carvalho, a 7. I've seen him play better games. He looks a little bit without a soul, a little bit sad. It's understandable with all the West Ham back and forth and Sporting dilemma. I'm expecting much more from him. I saw some shitty passes, which I was not expecting from him. So a 7 for him.
I'm going to disagree with you again, and I'm going to give William Carvalho an 8. I feel like he was a bit underrated in this game. He did some of the passes he made were just I saw that were just fantastic. There was one where he just from his own half chip through balled it over to Acuna, and that Acuna crossed it dust, but nothing came of it. But it's just stuff like that. I feel like William Carvalho is a fantastic passer in this game. It showed. I think he was one of the better players defensively as well. He was one of my contenders for man of the match actually. But for William, I'll give him an 8 out of 10. Bruno Fernandes, Steph. Bruno Fernandes, 8 out of 10.
Okay, Bruno Fernandes, an 8. He did what he was supposed to do. He scored again. He showed that he's a gifted player, full of skills. So again, we're lucky to have him, and he's lucky to be at Sporting because we exposing him to the world. Everyone is noticing him now because he's playing at Sporting Club Portugal. If he stayed at Sampdoria, then he would go unnoticed. So it's good. It's good for us and it's good for him. But he played well. But he was playing better together next to Bas Dost when they flipped him to position 8. He still did well, but the routines are not there yet. And but besides that, I mean, he scored an awesome, beautiful goal, and a solid 8 for him.
Yeah, I'm going to give him 8 as well. He played great on offense. I feel when like you said earlier, the goal, the corner, I feel like he could have marked his man a bit better, but I won't hold him up on that. I did feel that, like I said, offensively he played well. Fantastic little chip goal that sent the defender in the air and just clipped off the bar. For me, Bruno Fernandes right now, in terms of form, is probably one of the best in Portugal at the moment, just in all positions. So I really think Bruno Fernandes could keep this up. He could be a starting player for the World Cup 2018 next year. Hopefully he will be because he has just been fantastic. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for Bruno Fernandes. Marcos Acuna, Steph. Marcos Acuna out of 10.
Marcos Acuna, I'll give him a 7. He did what he was supposed to do. Like always, he fights until the end. Then he was substituted by Jorge Jesus. Yuri Medeiros came into the pitch, but he played well, consistent. But I'm expecting more from him. But again, he's one of those players that also was in Argentina playing for his national team. Again, the jet lag, all those little factors make a difference. The time zone is different, so the sleeping pattern and all that, it's affected. The diet is affected. I mean, you can say whatever you want to say, but when I go to Portugal, I don't sleep inside the plane. It's uncomfortable, So I'm pretty sure that the fatigue got to him, and that's why he was substituted. So a 7 for him.
I'm going to give him an 8. I feel like in the first half, I felt he was. If I were to give him rating on the first half, I'd give him a 6. I feel like he didn't do as much. But when the second half kicked in, I felt like I don't know, he must have had an energy drink or something because he was back fit for me. It seemed like, and he was always threatening on the attack, delivering some nice crosses into Bas Dost, and I believe he got the assist on the Bruno Fernandes goal with a nice cross. I could be wrong, it could be Gelson, but I'm pretty sure it was Marcos Acuna. I feel like Marcos Acuna was probably the best buy Sporting made this summer, along with Bruno Fernandes. We needed a left mid because Bruno Cesar and Brian Ruiz at left mid weren't cutting it. So for me, Marcos Acuna, 8 out of 10. Got 2 more players to go that started, and I'm going to give you one more actually because this one came off an injured Piccini, but I'm going to give you Alan Ruiz, Steph, rating out of 10.
A 5. He still lacks of rhythm. He didn't add anything to the game. I'm expecting more from him, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because he hasn't played for a while because of his injury. And there's nothing to say, really. I mean, he didn't really do much on the pitch, so a 5.
Yeah, I would say maybe a 5 or a 4. I feel, like you said, he does need a bit more game time under his belt, and I think he will be back to the player he was in the second half of last season. But for me, when he played today, it felt like we were playing with a man down. Every time he got the ball, he would just lose it straight away. He'd try just even a simple pass to the side, he'd lose it. And I feel like like you said, he's got no pace as well. That's probably because of the injury. And also, I feel like his attitude when you look at him on the pitch, he doesn't try to run for anything. He just like walks about. I think he needs to step up if he wants to continue to be selected for the team. Because I would say you've got Daniel Podence, who is much more deserving of him so far, and even you could play Bruno Fernandes or Seydou Doumbia at the centre forward role at which he played at. So he really needs to step up his performance. 5 out of 10, or even I'm actually going to give him a 4 actually. 4 out of 10 for Alan Ruiz. Gelson Martins out of 10, Steph. Gelson Martins.
A 7. I've seen better games, but in his defense, they were marking him with 2 players. So you could see every time he got the ball, 2 players were on top of him. Coaches across the Liga NOS already know him, so they're much more careful with him. But if that happens, if he has 2 players on him, it means there's an open space. So you need to find that open space so Sporting can benefit from it. But a 7 because, as always, Gelson Martins, he doesn't play only as an attacker, but he defends real well, and he helped a lot Bataglia today. So a 7 to him.
Yeah, I would agree as well. 7 out of 10. I feel like maybe he got a bit lost in today's game. Maybe he's a bit tired from. I think he needs maybe a little bit of a rest. But that being said, I don't think he was the worst form of the pitch. I think he had a decent game as well. His crosses again were nice. He's always a bit pacey as well. You could see him making forward runs, unlike Alan Ruiz. And similar to Acuna, he was always trying to get himself forward, trying to get himself open. The one thing I do dislike about Gelson Martins sometimes is that he tries to do too much with the ball. He'll try to take someone on. Like I saw today, he was in front of he was behind 2 defenders and he tried to take them both on and just ended up losing the ball when really should have just passed it to, I think it was Jonathan Silva or Bataglia next to him. So I think he needs to work on his game just that little bit. So for me, Gelson gets a 7 out of 10. And on to the final main man, the Flying Dutchman, Bas Dost. Bas Dost, what are you going to give him out of 10, Steph?
I'm going to give him a 7. He was a cool customer with the penalty. It's not easy. It's not easy to score a penalty with just a few seconds left uh, at the end of the game, and that's what happened. He scored a penalty, and the game was over. So everyone is watching you. The pressure is like unbelievable, and he kept his cool. And like you said, George Jesus did mention it on the Flash interview that he shouldn't be the one taking the penalty kicks. I think the chosen one was Bruno Fernandes,
Mm-hmm.
but he felt confident and he got the ball. He said, "No, let me do it." And you know what? That's what I like. If you feel confident, then yes, you're the one taking the penalty. If you lack of confidence, even though you did well on the last practice together with all your teammates, it doesn't matter. It's how you feel at that moment. So I'm glad he took the penalty kick. Besides that, he fought really hard the whole game. But when other teams play low block like Feirense, it's hard for him. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The uh, the teams, the coaches already know Bas Dost, so they mark him better. They much more careful with Bas Dost. So not, and you could see it that every time he plays, the opponent does a better job at marking Bas Dost. But a 7 to him.
Okay, I'd say an 8, just on the fact that you said the penalty. It was no, it's never easy to do. I can barely take a penalty with no one watching me, but with especially in like the 90th minute, 97th, I believe it went up to Bastos. Cooley put that penalty away. I'm not sure if you saw the goalkeeper was pointing to his left, saying that that's where Bastos was going to go, and Bastos went in the opposite corner, which is always good. And I mentioned before the dummy Bastos did from a cross from, I believe, Acuna or Gelson. I feel like that was a fantastic play and a tactical awareness from Bastos to get Bruno Fernandes his goal. So for me, I'm going to give Bastos an 8 out of 10. And now, finally, Steph, the last two things about this game. Who is your man of the match?
Okay, you missed one player, Doumbia.
Fifth, would you say Dumbia had enough time to give him a rating?
Oh, okay, so I see what you mean.
But if you want to give him a rating, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5, just because he came into the game and he kept the pressure. When Dumbia came into the game, he pushed Feirense to the back. They felt obligated to defend with all the players. They dropped tremendously. So a 5 to him.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'd go with a 6, just because I think his ball into the box which led to the Coates penalty decision. He crossed it into Bastos. I think Bastos headed it to Coates, and that's when the penalty was given. But like I said, I feel like I couldn't really judge him off 15 minutes. I feel like he does deserve more game time, especially with the things coming out today that we did pay 7.5 million euros for him to officially be a sporting player. So he's not on loan anymore.
I know.
He is a sporting player. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure about the fee, but hopefully I'll support anyone who puts on the sporting shirt. So hopefully he does well. Hopefully he does get more game time under George Jesus, and hopefully we see him banging in the goals and even getting the assists very soon.
We actually paid for him 3.5, and the other 3 million, it's a bonus. So to him, to him,
to him,
to him, yeah. We gave him a $3 million bonus just for the signature, for him to sign.
That's a lot, actually.
I know.
So, Steph, who was your man of the match of today's game?
The man of the match for me, it was Bruno Fernandes.
Okay, for me, I'm gonna go with. I'm not sure about Bruno Fernandes. I'm actually gonna go with Bas Dost. Just like I said, I feel that his penalty was crucial to obviously 96th minute or 97th minute, whatever it was. The way he just coolly and collected, finished into the bottom corner, and also that dummy that he did, which led to the Bruno Fernandes goal. I feel like I've said before, Bas Dost doesn't need to score goals to have an impact on the pitch, and even he did score today, and he still had a massive impact on the other parts of the pitch. I remember he did a fantastic pass as well to Bruno Fernandes in the first half, which led to Bruno Fernandes crossing it, which didn't go to Bas Dost. But Bas Dost is such a fantastic player, and just in all areas. You've got heading, you've got passing, you've got shooting, you've got strength. So for me today, Bas Dost was the man of the match. And Steph, who was your player for improvement? Who was the worst player today?
The worst player, it's obvious, Alan Ruiz. He needs to regain the rhythm. He needs to more playing time. So Alan Ruiz.
Yeah, I agree with that. Alan Reeves was bad today. I feel like he needs to step up his game. Like I said, just hopefully he does get more playing time. Maybe even like put him to the B team or something for just a moment, just so he can get his groove back. But hopefully, like I said, hopefully he does get his form back, because we did see how good Aaron Ruiz was at the end of last season until he picked up that injury. He was fantastic. So hopefully we get to see that Aaron Ruiz again. Okay, now we finished off the game, the sporting game against Feirense. Now let's go on to the predictions for Tuesday's game against Olympiacos, which is in Greece. Steph, what are your predictions?
Well, we playing home, right?
I thought we were playing away.
Is it away? Okay. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, it's away. So I'm hoping for 2-0. That's my prediction.
For me, I feel Greece is always such a hard place to go to get a result. I feel like especially the Olympiacos fans, are very loud. They always are quite intimidating. Olympiacos, they're not considered. You wouldn't really think of them to have a good team, but they've won the Greek league so many times in a row, and you might be thinking, oh, the Greek league, anyone could win that. But to win it, I think they've won it like 5 times in a row. I think we can't underestimate Olympiacos, and we have to play to our strengths. I think we need to go attacking. I don't think we need to just calmly like pass the ball. Like I feel like we did a bit today. I feel like we need to go more attacking. Maybe start Dumbia as the behind Bastos, and I'm gonna go for the prediction. I feel like it will be more of a 1-0 than a 2-0, just because I think it'll be a very hard game. So I'm going to go 1-0 to Sporting. So there is some other topics, but Steph, you said you had a new segment you wanted to introduce. Would you want to tell the podcast viewers about it?
Yeah, we also have a couple more questions on Twitter.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So it's called the hot seat. So I'm gonna put you on the hot seat today.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm sitting down. I'm ready.
Okay, good. I don't want long answers. Okay, just short little answers.
Okay.
Okay, so
short and sweet.
Short and sweet. So who's your favorite player now?
Bastos now. He's been my favorite player for a long time.
Okay. Who's your favorite all-time player from Sporting, of course?
This one is a hard one for me, actually, but I'm going to go with Nani when he came back a few seasons ago. He was fantastic, I think, and he's always been one of my all-time favorite players in general. So I'm going to go with Nani.
Okay. Your most memorable game?
Would have to be the Taça de Portugal final against Braga, where we won, obviously. That was a fantastic game, especially with a man down. What a comeback as well. So, yeah. Taça de Portugal final against Braga.
Okay. The worst game from Sporting that if you could do a do-over.
This one is a hard one as well, but I guess I would say the Benfica game last year, the one where we drew. I feel like we could have definitely got away with a better result, so I'm gonna go with that game.
Okay. And last but not least, your biggest wish in Vigar's the near future.
For me, I want to see just a lot of rotations, really, because it is going to be a long season, especially with the Champions League and the international break. So we need to rotate the team. So hopefully, in some games, even like maybe some Liga NOS games, some Taça de Portugal games, we mix it up. So I'm hoping for rotations in the near future.
Okay, that's it. You off the hot seat.
Okay, I feel like I did quite well on the hot seat there.
You did, buddy. 2 thumbs up.
Okay. Have you got the questions you said from Twitter?
Yeah.
Or do you want me to get them?
No, I'll get them, and this time I'll be the one asking.
Okay, I'm back in the hot seat again.
Yes, temporarily. So here we go. This is from one of our followers that he enjoys the show very much, Bruno. So Bruno is asking, why is Bruno Carvalho so heavily criticized? He turned Sporting around, and still people criticize him.
For me, I feel like it's just the fact that he is the president of Sporting. Just because I know Benfica and Porto fans, because he's president of Sporting, will always hate him. But for me, he is the best president in Portugal in terms of business. I would say the amount of business he's done for the club. Like I said, João Mario, Slimani, Adrian, he's made some fantastic deals. Whereas our last president, you know, Eric Diaz's release clause was literally, what was it, 5 million euros. So for me, Bruno de Carvalho is the best president, I think, in the Liga NOS. I feel that others hate him because their presidents aren't as good with financial business. Like I can just say some presidents, the Benfica and Porto ones, that especially I'm going to go with Benfica first. They spend a lot of money. Say they spent 22 million on Raul Jimenez, who is a bench player, and 18 million on Rafa, who again is a bench player. So I feel like Sporting's president is much more suited to business, and I feel that's why a lot of value. And also, he has got, like we said earlier, he's got a big mouth. Maybe that gets him into trouble sometimes, but he says it how it is. He says what he thinks, and I can respect someone who's like that.
Okay. And then the second question, again from Bruno. By the way, Bruno he has his Twitter account at Bruno SKO 23. And when Sporting wins the league this year, do you guys see JJ leaving? And if he does, who will take his? Who will be his replacement?
Say if he does or he doesn't win the league.
If he does win the league,
yeah,
who will be his replacement?
I don't see him leaving if he wins the league, to be honest. I feel if he wins the league, he stays. If he doesn't, I could see him getting sacked or take. Well, I wouldn't see him leaving the bonus of I think it's like 20 million behind. So I feel like he's going to, if he doesn't win the league, he gets sacked. And if he wins, he stays.
Okay, so let's say if he wins, you think he will stay?
I feel like if he wins, he'll stay, I think. But if he doesn't win, and if even say if we're talking about hypothetically, say he does leave, who would I want as a replacement?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I really don't know. I would say I can't remember his name. The name's gone off the top of my head, but he's the manager for Guimarães. Could you help me out here?
Yeah, Pedro Martins.
Yeah, Pedro Martins. That's it. I would say him. So I'd go with Pedro Martins if George Jesus were to leave.
Okay, and that's it.
Even just quickly as well, I know he probably wouldn't come back, but Bell from Braga, I feel like he's a good coach as well. So either of them two, I'd be happy with.
Sounds good. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay, cool. So pretty much we've got one more thing to do, and that's Steph's Sporting Universe Roundup. So Steph, have you got your Sporting Universe Roundup ready?
Yes, I do. So here we go. So today, the under-19 juniors, we lost 3-2 to Académica de Coimbra. The referee, and I'll have to say it, the referee was Carlos Cabral, and he was the man of the match. We end up the game with 9 players. He sent off 2 of our players, and a penalty against us, and Academic Coimbra won. So it's shameful that we have a referee, instead of being a role model to these young players, teaching them how to play or how to be about the game. He was so quick pulling the trigger and sending 2 of our players with red cards off the game, and gave Academic Coimbra a chance to win, and they did. So remember this name, Carlos Cabral. Remember this game, because I foresee this guy being always negative against us. U15 Iniciados, second round, we won 7-2 against CAC. We're in first place of Group E. Futsal, we won the Super Cup. We played on the 2nd of September against Benfica. We won 3-2. I watched the whole game. Very exciting game. And Nilton scored 2 goals. Pedro Cari scored 1 goal, and for Benfica it was Edmi 1 goal and Cheguinha 1 goal. But we deserve to win the Super Cup, and our futsal team, I'm expecting good things from them. Uh, Ladies Cup, what a game! I watched the whole game too. It went into overtime. Um, Braga scored first with Pauleta at minute number 12, uh, and they pretty much they played a low block game the whole game, and uh, I was like very consumed with the style they picked, which was defending really hard against Sporting, and then Ana Capeta, she came to the pitch and she scored the tying goal, which took us to overtime, and then she scored 2 more goals at the minute 102 and 118, and we won. Final score of 3-1. So heads down to Ana Capeta with a hat trick, and keep in mind she's only 19. So this young lady, she's gonna be amazing for Sporting years to come and the national team. And Sporting and Braga, by far, they're the best 2 teams in Portugal. Uh, they're the ones who provide the most players to the national team. So it was a good game, really good game, and I would recommend Spartanguistas to follow our ladies team because it's worth it. Handball, uh, we we plan to qualify to for the Champions League group. The semifinal was against Riemann Cox. We won 31-27. That's a team from Finland. So then, after winning the semifinal, qualified us for the final, which was the next day. We played against Apla Hard, which is the champion of Austria. And again, we won 35-34. Very last play of the game was a great save by our goalie Azanini with his head. Frankie Scarol gets the rebound and scores the winning goal. And no time had expired. So it was a very exciting game too. Um, then on Wednesday, we played our first official game at the João Rocha Pavilion. We played against ACFAF. We won 31-17. So, and the man of the match was our young goalie, Manuel Gaspar. He's also, I believe, only 19. He's a great goalie, so hands down to him. Our volleyball and hockey team, they have begun their preseason. The volleyball team has a new coach, Mr. Hugo Silva. So welcome to Sporting. Judo, the World Championship in Budapest, we had 5 athletes, and Joanna Rams and George Fonseca obtained the best results, finishing 9th place. So now up and coming, we have GS, the under 19 juveniles, 3rd round, Lourdes against Sporting. It's an away game at 11 a.m. in Portugal. Ladies, CA Meso against Sporting at 1600. First round. This is all on Saturday. And then we have Chico and Ball Sporting at 1800. It's a game away, second round. Futsal will play at home against Leões Porto Salvo, first round at 20:30, and the game will be on TVI at 24. Then on Sunday, last but not least, we'll have Sporting Feirense, Sporting B, that's the Iniciados at 11, and then Sporting B, Gil Vicente at 1600. Ladies Futsal Sporting against IF Condeixa. That's the presentation game at 1900. And then on Tuesday the 12th, we have the big game, which is Olympiacos Sporting at 1945 Europe time. And that's it.
Thank you, Steph, for that roundup. As I said before, Sporting is a big club, not just in terms of football, but in terms of just other sports in the world. And that is all the time we have for today, I'm afraid. So thank you, Steph, for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at SCP Updates EN. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Samfonseca with 2 A's. And if you want to follow Steph on Twitter, that's at StephTickShader1, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I simplified it. Yes.
Okay. So thank you. Hope you'll join us next time. It's been a pleasure. From me and from Steph, see you. Good night.
Good night.